good evening, and welcome to the Second Amendment Daily Show. I am one of your co-hosts, Aaron Dorr, with Iowa Gun Owners. And guys, we have an action-packed show for tonight. We're discussing Bloomberg spending tens of millions of dollars in a brand new digital ad program trying to buy the U.S. Congress to advance gun control. We're discussing some outrageous NRA endorsements of out-and-out gun grabbers. It's going to make your skin crawl. Let's see the fake news, discussing the fake bombs and their last-minute attempt to try to derail a potential red wave. Recent polling data, the caravan of invaders, it's all here tonight on this show, guys. Wherever you're watching from, guys, let us know right now in the comment section. Let us know you're watching from. Post your questions, post your comments. This is going to be an action-packed show tonight. I'm joined, as always, with my co-hosts. Two of them are my brothers, so I'm kind of stuck with these guys. Co-host Chris Dorr from Ohio Gun Owners.
Right here.
In Beaver Creek, Ohio. We've got Ben Dorr in Northfield, Minnesota, director of Minnesota Gun Rights.
How you
And
doing,
as
everybody?
always, Patrick Parsons, Georgia Gun Owners, down in the deep south in Abrams territory, maybe, if she gets her way. On November 6th, guys. This is going to be a big one, a big show tonight. Some new technology, some new tricks we're trying to roll out tonight. As always, realize the YouTube channel is the place you want to be. We're putting links right now in all of the Facebook pages, wherever you're watching it at right now. You're going to be invited right now. That's why all their eyes are turned away from your monitor right now. They're posting links furiously right now to get you guys to go and sign up and like and follow and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Better video, better audio, better everything over there. And right now, it's not quite as controlled by the Facebook overlords. That's the place to go. So, guys, that's where we are. I know we want to discuss the Bloomberg throwdown immediately. Yeah. This is big. I mean, we already know he's already said that he's going to spend $100 million this year on the cycle. So that's not news. But I think today's story to me, Patrick, was a big deal because this is targeted now all on digital. All 11 million more dollars today being tossed only at digital. These guys are not stupid.
For a total of 24 million, right? 24 million. So I think Bloomberg's gang, if you remember during the Trump campaign, big time digital. It was all over the place. And so they watched what happened. And now Bloomberg, from what I read, has 30 people running digital ads.
Oh, jeez.
Where I live, I know that. Where probably there's races where all y'all out there in North Carolina or Georgia, Iowa, Minnesota, Missouri, they are spending tens of millions of dollars. I think the number is 24 million just on digital ads.
Oh, yeah.
Just on digital ads.
Yeah, the quote here from their BPI partner, Ben Clark, says, "We have 30 people been on this since June, and we're optimizing the campaign on an hourly basis." That's the quote. So they're perfecting this in a way that is going to be very, very damaging to our gun rights, and they have tremendous amount of cash. I think the obvious question here, the obvious goal of this, besides trying to buy Congress and hammer through gun control, is pretty obvious. This guy is laying the groundwork for 2020. Everybody knows it.
Yeah,
at least I think so.
And I mean, just thinking about this how many 30 people running targeted digital ads like this. You know, I don't know how many people Trump had running, but that is a massive penetrating force in the upcoming elections. That's huge.
Yeah,
well, it's way bigger than the House Democrat. The quote here says, and it puts it being the buy from Bloomberg, it puts it ahead of other major Democrat nonprofits like House Majority PAC in money spent on digital ads targeted at House races, said one of the sources familiar with the stories. This is the biggest expenditure we've seen at trying to get a gun control majority, an anti-gun majority in the Congress. This is not the campaign tactics from 4 years ago. This is cutting edge stuff, and it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt.
Yeah, that being said, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're in a nutshell, they're spending tens of millions of dollars to convince people, probably people who they view as leaning, that you should never have Second Amendment rights ever again. Destroy your Second Amendment rights. That being said, I want to ask a question right now. Not of the guys here. Well, you can answer if you want to, but do y'all think there is going to be a blue is that what they call it, blue wave on November 6th, or is it going to be a red tsunami? If you think it is going to be a red tsunami, comment down in the comments section that it's going to be a red tsunami. If you think it's going to be a blue wave, be a blue wave. And if you have voted early, you've already voted, go ahead and comment down in the comment section, guys.
Yeah.
And share this video. Share it, guys. Get it out there. Share, share, share.
That's the question of the hour right now. Yeah, blue wave, red tsunami. I mean, I know we've talked about this. Gosh, every 3 hours for the last 3 months, and it's a crapshoot right now the way it seems in a lot of these races. We're going to discuss some of the polling data here in a little bit, and some of these races we're all involved in. And I guess just in case people are new to this podcast and they're trying to figure out who are these guys and why is there all this matching banners and stuff. I mean, we all work in state level gun politics. I know Patrick's been in Georgia for almost a decade fighting down there for gun rights and now involved in some different states. Chris, after he founded Minnesota Gun Rights, now is out in Ohio leading the charge to stop your feckless idiot governor, from trying to pass gun control as his parting shot to the Buckeye State.
And he's just going to be replaced by another one. We can't win for trying. We can't lose for trying out here. It's insane.
That's what it looks like. Ben has been active in Minnesota for a number of years now. Stopped the Bloomberg brigade, if you will, for the last 2 years at Radical Gun Control. And I've been working in Iowa, Missouri, and Wyoming for a number of years. We actually got a chance to pass. The group of guys you see here is most of the brain trust that passed Stand Your Ground law in Missouri in 2016 and Iowa last year, 2017, and in March of this year out in Wyoming, 30 days to the day, mind you, after the Parkland, Florida massacre. So we're on the front lines and we eat and breathe and sleep this stuff. And we're curious what you guys think. Like Patrick said, if you think it's going to be a red wave or a blue wave, let us know. Post it in the comment section so we can kind of see and get your feedback on this.
Yeah, well, I want to give a shout out to my Georgia people. I'm just going to go down here real quick. I got Peggy. I got so many on here. Peggy in Statesboro. Georgia, let's win this thing. Okay? Share, share, share. We got Peggy in Statesboro. Crystal's voted. We got Carrie in Rising Fawn. Mark says it's going to be a Red Dawn. That was quite a movie. I read
Red Dawn.
Red Dawn, Cherokee County. There's Paul. Everybody said they're voting red. There's Crystal in Valdosta, John in Waycross. Guys, you got to get the message out. You got to get the message out that there's big league money being spent against us, not only here in Georgia but all across the country. And if you're not getting out there and voting pro Second Amendment, talking about these issues with friends and family, we're going to get screwed. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
I just don't know how this. I mean, we've been analyzing this 6 ways from Sunday every single day, but I can't figure it out how this is going to go because. I hear that right here in Ohio, for example, in some of these suburban districts that have normally what I would consider to be a good government Republican district, all these suburban moms are getting hammered by the Moms Demand Action people, and now what should be safe Republican districts, are up in the air. It's not good, and particularly, and I didn't even talk to the Ohio gun owners people who are watching about this yet, but we got guys like Tom Brinkman who have been the lead author on constitutional carry that their necks are on the chopping block right now because of this suburban shift in the wrong direction, and I'm sure that Ohio's not the only state.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know, as far as the red wave, blue wave, I mean, some of that's going to come down to state, in my opinion. In some states, Republicans have really followed through for gun owners and for, taxpayers and a lot of other things like that, pro-life. Republicans have really followed through on a lot of stuff in a lot of states. Minnesota, not one of those states. Everybody knows it. They were holding hearings on gun control. They killed all the pro-gun bills. They jacked our budget up by $5 billion. The Republicans all passed taxpayer funding for abortions, and the list goes on and on and on. So, I don't know what a red wave looks like here in Minnesota because our majority party in the House and the Senate really haven't our budget up by to earn votes.
Well, Andrew Grove watching on the IGO page right now. It's going to be the tightest race yet that he's ever seen from what he's seen right now in Iowa. We got Terry watching in Iowa. We got Keith watching. He's going to vote red. So wherever you guys are watching from, let us know. And again, in the comments section is a link. You guys get over to our YouTube channel and subscribe right there. We're really curious to hear from the folks in Missouri. We're very active with the Missouri Firearms Coalition, and it's going to be a huge throwdown down there. Going to culminate here in about, 13 days now or 14 days to see if we're going to have old Claire coming back for another 6 or not. I know MOFC has been pounding on email and social media and stuff, letting folks know about the real Claire McCaskill, and it's going to be close. Polling data literally seems to change by the day, but the last one I saw shows Josh up by 4 points. 4 points. So if you're in Missouri, watch us right now. Let us know what your thoughts are. If it's going to be Claire again for 6, not what you want it to be. We know what you want it to be, but you think it's going to be Claire for 6 more, or is Josh going to take it? Let us know.
Somebody said that here in Ohio we're just totally pretty screwed.
Not doing good.
Not doing good. And I think we're going to see a heck of a lot, especially in swing states. We're going to see a heck of a lot of this split ticket balloting, where you got total left wing nut jobs like Sherrod Brown getting elected, and then some quasi pro gun Republicans getting elected at the same time. I mean, it's very odd. It's going to be a very odd year, I think.
Yeah. Tony from Minnesota here says the Republican Party has been fighting against the Second Amendment. Gun owners in Minnesota know it very, very well that's what the Republican Party spent the entirety of 2018 doing, and that's attacking gun rights. So, ugly.
Yeah, for y'all around the country, I think I'm really the only person from the South here, and a lot of us down here in the South. Of course, I live north of Atlanta, so everything north of me, we call y'all Yankees. Okay, it's just the way it is. Okay, but the perception of Georgia.
That's so racist.
Yeah, it is racist, but the perception of Georgia probably around the country is that, oh man, it's down the South, man. But look, for the last 30 years, people have been moving to Atlanta and elsewhere from all over the country, and this is a purple state. It's just the way it is. The rural areas are very conservative. Of course, there's a lot of Democrat voters, which I'm not going to get into why that's the case. But then you go into Atlanta, you got people from all over the country and demographics and this and that, guys. So I mean, it's a battle royale down here. Now the General Assembly isn't necessarily in that case, and that's why I want to piggyback on what Ben or somebody said earlier. Even though we have Republican majorities, there's been a lot of bills passed here, but it's like nibbling around the edges. And when I'm lobbying at the Capitol, this should tell y'all what happens at the Capitol, especially the Georgia folks. I'm talking to Alan Powell. I'm talking to all these people who hold the purse strings down at the Capitol. And I say, we need to do this now. We need to pass constitutional carry now. We need to get the government out of the gun business now. We need to repeal gun-free zones now. Because, here we are 12 days before the election, and Stacey Abrams is 1 percentage point off the lead down here in Georgia. So, again, wrapping it all up, Georgia is not some hardcore, nasty right-wing state, guys. It's the left would like you to think we are, and I wish we were. But this is a quote-unquote purple state, and it's just a straight-up battle down here. I mean, it's just a battle. It's an absolute battle.
Well, and I'm sure that what Ben said just a few minutes ago doesn't play well down there either. Your Republicans act like a bunch of total losers. Exactly. That Alan Powell, I mean, they've not done anything to fire up the grassroots and the base about gun rights. They haven't passed any pro-gun bills there, and have they? I mean, what?
It's been a couple. I mean, they had the weak campus carry bill down here a couple.
Yeah, that's a joke. That doesn't get
campus carry. That wasn't.
Yeah.
There was the big bill a few years ago, the so-called Guns Everywhere bill, which left a lot to be desired.
Right, but like 10 states have passed constitutional carry
in
just the last 6 years, and you would think that in deep South, red Georgia, that'd be like item number 1.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And here's what Alan Powell said, and I may have said this a few weeks ago, but we got him on audio here, and he said, that Georgia gun owners has been kicking my ass for the last 2 years. I mean, that was Alan Powell. But here we are, and Stacey Abrams is trying to kick our ass. And who's leading the fight and then it's hilarious. You see all these establishment legislators from the Capitol. They're like sharing our memes from Georgia gun owners, sharing our videos. People are talking about it. And so, in other words, when their backs are against the wall, they want to fight. But when they have everything, it's just kind of like they pat each other on the back, and they don't realize the big fight is coming. You know.
So what you're saying is, don't ever buy the line, "We'll do it next year," or
exactly.
Give us another chamber, give us another, because that's what we've got here in Minnesota, and it's pretty much the same in Wisconsin. I mean, they sit there and say, well, in Minnesota, they say, give us the House, and then we'll pass pro-gun bills. Republicans have the House.
I forgot. Yeah, I forgot to do the shout-out for Wisconsin, Ben. I forgot about that, guys. If you're watching in Wisconsin right now, we are dying to hear your thoughts because Ben will be on the ground in Madison all session long. And, guys, if you're in the Midwest, if you're in Iowa, you're not looking at a Democrat takeover, at least not of the entire legislature, although we very well may see Governor Hubble. That remains to be seen. But if you are in Wisconsin, I mean, the poll numbers, they ain't good. I don't think we've seen only one poll in the last 2 months that showed Walker up, and that was up 1% in the same week of the Kavannaugh hearings. And a lot of talk that if they flip, 3 seats, Ben, in the Senate chamber,
yep,
that's it. And there could be a gun control nightmare being launched in Wisconsin. So make sure that you're heavily involved in following the Wisconsin Firearms Coalition as well. But Patrick, you mentioned they got what they need, or how do you phrase it? These lawmakers, they have what they need to kind of run their game on these people. But if we're going to branch off into the second topic, but part of what these guys have, almost all of them, is a bullcrap, watered down, in many cases totally undeserved NRA endorsement. And I'm just going to say it, and maybe we have some folks here that get mad at us. Look. Do some people deserve and earn their A rating? Hell yes. Rick Bertrand here in Iowa has bled for gun owners for 8 years, and he deserves an A+ and a $10,000 PAC check. He's not going to get that, sure, but he deserves it. And certainly in Ohio, Chris has got 4 or 5 lawmakers who have earned that endorsement. But that is rapidly becoming, in my opinion, and maybe I'm wrong, and if you think I'm wrong, let me know in the comment section on one of our platforms right now. Let me know. But in my opinion, and I'm going to prove my point here in just a minute, this is changing rapidly. And we're seeing a whole bunch of lawmakers get an NRA A rating simply because they're the incumbent, and the NRA trusts the devil they know more than the devil they don't. That is oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes. I mean, just look at Florida. I mean, we shouldn't have to say anything else. I mean, 6, 7, A, was it 67, right, guys? 67 A rated NRA lawmakers signed on to and voted for the massive gun control bill, which passed down there. What was that? Middle of March last year, 1st of April. This year.
Right.
This year.
And that means all those districts down there were all getting their orange postcards in the mail. Their ratings and stuff comes with benefits.
And this is huge for gun owners. I mean, I know it's huge at the state level, especially. I mean, when these guys get an A from the NRA, that's big. That's big cred, in these districts. But the question is, what are they earning it? Are they? Because most cases now we're seeing state after state after state screw over gun owners, and they're keeping their endorsements, aka the A-ranked governor of South Dakota, who vetoed constitutional carry, the A-ranked governor of Oklahoma, Mary Fallin, who vetoed constitutional carry, not to mention the guys in Florida. But I got a doozy that I don't think anybody's going to believe, but you can Google it. You can Google it, okay? New Jersey, not exactly pro-gun territory. You would think that it'd be hard as heck to get an A down there. But 2nd Congressional District, Democrat candidate Jeff Van Drew, who's been in the state Senate in New Jersey since 2008. So that he's been on the warpath against gun owners. It's New Jersey. It's in New Jersey, and he's in the Democrat state Senate. Jeff Van Drew recently shocked the world by getting an A from the NRA. You got an A, okay? Got an A. And then he shocked it because he's terrible. That's why he shocked the world. He got an A. And then a week later, in one of the biggest political embarrassments I've ever seen, he also got the Gun Sense Candidate Award from Moms Demand Action. This is Bloomberg's tens of millions of dollars funded front group. These are the shock troops in all the states you see here tonight. And they're sure as heck involved, even in Wyoming. They're even in Wyoming, heavy. So Bloomberg's people give him a Gun Sense Candidate Award, which is basically their endorsement.
Yep.
And the NRA endorses the guy and gives him an A. How
What
the heck does that happen? And it gets worse. It gets worse because my good friend Rick sent me video from the debates they had out there. I don't have the name of the opponent right now, the Republican nominee. Don't have that. But Jeff Van Drew, I watched the video not 1 hour ago. Jeff Van Drew was asked in the debate just last week, would you support gun control? And he went on a 2.5, 3 minute long bender where he described how I'm a hunter and I'm a gun owner, which is always the first line. You know, folks, if they say that, it's BS.
Yeah.
I go hunt.
After he says, and by the way, what the hell does he hunt in New Jersey?
Yeah, exactly.
Besides a
Yeah.
You know what? They have a lot of deer up there. Did you know that?
No,
I
I
did
did not.
deer.
Okay, fine.
I didn't know you could hunt in New Jersey, but anyways.
I don't think either. So he comes out and he publicly says he's all in favor of Michael Bloomberg's universal background checks. And we all know that does nothing to stop crime, but it sure does create a huge database of gun owners. He comes out and says he wants to ban silencers and wants to regulate silencers and other accessories. So here's a guy who just says, screw you to gun owners. And he's riding that NRA endorsement all the way to Election Day. If I was an NRA donor in New Jersey, I would be screaming. Yeah. And they haven't yanked it. I Googled it 5-10 minutes ago. They still haven't yanked his A rating. How does that happen? Insane.
Well, the crap?
Sorry, go ahead.
What the heck are they using to come to these determinations? That's what I want to know, because for here in Ohio, all they got to do is look at all these bills that these people are co-sponsoring. All they got to do is look at their voting record, their public statements. All this stuff is easily accessible. Where are they coming up with this stuff? And I guess for me, it triggers all the way back to when they were endorsing people like Harry Reid out of Nevada. We all know he is the chief instigator behind, the Newtown Mansion Toomey. And what the hell were they doing? That kind of stuff just makes us mad.
Did y'all see that news this week? Who saw the news this week that NRA downgraded a bunch of people, including
Thomas Massey?
Yeah, Thomas Massey from Kentucky.
And Louis Gohmert. Yeah, and Louis Gohmert. I mean, Thomas Massey. The best. Yeah, Thomas Massey. I'm looking at it right now. I mean, this guy, he freaking the guy is like the chairman or whatever of the Second Amendment caucus in Washington, D.C., within the House. And, I think there's some more politics to that we won't really get into, people that we're kind of associated with at one time. But Gohmert, I mean, Louis Gohmert is like the biggest fighter out there.
Well, wasn't...
Did you hear Trump?
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Texas? No. He's like praising Louis, and he's like, I don't know what his endorsement is, but it should be like A++++++++++.
Yeah.
And of course, the NRA just screwed him over because Louis cried foul on some of the crap NRA was pushing this year on help me here, the Fix Nix Feinstein bill. So he opposes a bill that Feinstein pushes, and for that he gets downgraded. And it's just, this is the stuff that happens, guys, every freaking cycle. I know in Iowa, for the guys who are watching here in Iowa, I mean, there was a time, believe it or not, but you should believe it because I'm telling it to you. There was a time when Mike Gronstall, Senate Majority Leader, not only got the A, he got money. He got PAC money from these people to continue to screw over the Second Amendment here in Iowa. Of course, IGO members took care of him once and for all in 2016. But this is how these guys are allowed. Gronstall was there for 34 years. This is part of the way they get to do that. They get that A from the NRA, and they might ride that chair for 20 years. 20 years, 34 years in Gronstall's case. Ridiculous.
Yeah, who was it back in the day? Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was endorsed by the NRA when he ran. So it's like, I mean, I get it. People are members of the NRA, and I get it, and whatever. But they're also members of our groups, big time, and increasingly members of our groups. And it's for these very reasons that this stuff we have the internet, this thing called the internet now that we're on right now, that Al Gore invented. And
Thanks, Al.
This information gets out, and I know for a fact. I had a friend. I worked in D.C. for 5 years. I had a friend who was friends with one of the top lobbyists or counsels for the NRA. And in D.C. they go to these cocktail parties, and everybody's kind of buddies because everybody's making money. You have to make a lot of money to live up there, but. The guy tells me this NRA general counsel is like, man, we're scared as heck of our right flank. Okay, everybody knows what your right flank is. The more conservative gun owners or organizations like ours, especially at the state level, where we're grinding every single day, they're scared of their right flank. I mean, that's what he told him, So they're constantly like balancing this, and it's not a good for me. It wouldn't be a good position to be in, having to constantly balance. Should I say this? Should I say that? It's kind of.
Well, they should be scared of their right flank. Gun owners are sick and tired of getting their teeth kicked in.
Yeah.
We have battled the NRA in Minnesota for years. Their endorsements keep people like Kurt Dowd, Speaker of the House, Kurt Dowd, in office. He's the worst of the worst when it comes to rhinos. He's the guy who kills all the pro-gun bills, and all he does is he wakes up in the morning and puts this little NRA flag on top of his head to make sure everybody knows he has the endorsement. And as my good buddy Dave Peterson here says, my dog has an NRA rating. That's pretty much how this stuff goes in Minnesota, and they oppose our pro-gun bills. And their little girlfriend organizations, the Gun Owners Caucus in Minnesota. They do the same thing. They oppose our pro-gun bills. They endorse radical anti-gunners. Here we have former Senator Lyle Coonan, radical anti-gun Democrat, voted to kill constitutional carry. He's running. Gun owners booted his butt out of office in 2016. He's now running again with the NRA endorsement again. The NRA tried to stop us, try to protect him.
This guy literally voted against constitutional carry on the floor of the Minnesota Senate back in, 2015?
15, yep.
Literally, I mean, it's one thing if they're trying to hide behind like a committee vote or what have you, but this is a straight-up floor vote that they'd take no votes on, and ding, 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 you get your endorsement.
He got the endorsement then. He's got the endorsement now. And, this is what we're up against here. This guy's a diehard, dyed-in-the-wool anti-gunner. And if he makes it into office, if he gets back in there again, he will attack gun rights full-bore wholesale with his NRA rating. This is the reason pro-gun bills are not advancing right now in Minnesota. It's because of this type of political BS that's constantly going on in the background.
Okay.
Not to beat this drum, to death, but this is everything right now when we're 10 days out, give or take, from an election. But all you folks watching right now in Missouri, we got tons of questions. We got Wayne watching from Fredericktown, Maryland. We got Floyd watching. We got Lawrence watching. We've got Alex that says they have no idea what they're doing, referring, I believe, to the NRA endorsements. If you're watching in Missouri, this has been your story, right, for the last 2 years. I have been down there repeatedly with Alexandra Salzman, our political director, and you guys all know that it was the Missouri Firearms Coalition that got Stand Your Ground law and constitutional carry passed in 2016. We all know that. But for 2 years now, we've been trying to pass a bill to simply do away with the gun-free zones. MOFC has done a report that shows over 600 people murdered in gun-free zones in just maybe it was, the numbers I'm getting confused on, but hundreds of people killed in gun-free zones. In Missouri, there's over a dozen of them that the state controls. The state controls, right? And we have this massive pro-gun supermajority, right, in both chambers. They haven't passed a single gun bill in 2 years. Nothing. And they're all saying, why do we need to? We have an NRA endorsement from what we did 2 years ago, so the hell with it. That's what they're saying in the Capitol, in Jeff City, when I'm there, on behalf of the Missouri Firearms Coalition, because they know they got it. And if they got it, they figure they're going to keep it. And that's why Missouri has passed nothing in 2 years. But there's a new wave coming. I'm not sure if it's going to be red, blue, otherwise, but there's going to be a gun rights wave coming in Missouri, folks, because Eric Burleson is coming back in that building. And if I could cue the music right now, I would cue the freaking music, because Eric Burleson was the guy that we worked with in the House that made Missouri a constitutional carry and stand your ground law state. He is not a chump. He is not a party hack, and he is not going to sit there and take this crap indefinitely. And so we're going to have Burleson back in the Senate chamber for all you folks there watching in Missouri.
In fact, we're going to have him right here on the Second Amendment Daily Show pretty soon here.
Before we gavel in, I'm sure, for the first part of the season. Robert Walton says, thank God. I agree with you, Robert. Thank God.
Amen.
Says yes. Well, I mean, I should say we assume so. The Missouri Firearms Coalition is doing all they can right now with mail and social media programs to inform the voters. But both of their Jared Taylor in the House and Eric in the Senate chamber have radical anti-gun candidates running against them, and we are pounding those districts around Springfield right now. SD 20 and HD, I believe, 139, with the facts that gun grabbers are trying to hide. So all that to say, not to talk too long,
wow.
NRA endorsements are just dragging stuff out, and that's why no gun bills have passed in Missouri, and hopefully that's beginning to change. If you guys didn't see the article, we talked about that, was it last week? I mean, Reuters and CNBC did a huge piece on the fact that the NRA, more and more and more, are the last to the dance, the last people to the dance. And they talked extensively about Missouri. They talked to Jared Taylor, our sponsor in the House. They talked to Eric Burleson. These guys all confirmed, yeah, the NRA got there, but they got there.
Okay.
On the 10-yard line.
I just want to talk about this for a minute, because the way I understand it, the NRA is like a $360 million a year organization. I mean, this is all public information. I'm not pulling back the curtain on something nobody else can figure out. Wayne gets a whopping $6.6 million a year. I think Chris Cox gets like $4.5 or $5 or something like that million dollars a year.
6.6.
Yeah. And so my question is, like right here in Ohio, when the members of Ohio Gunners are watching this right now too, and they were all there, half the people watching were actually in these committee rooms. But we're there standing, offering opponent testimony to one of the biggest gun control bills we've ever seen in Ohio history, and their lobbyist wasn't even there. And so my question is, where does all that money go, other than to Wayne and Chris Cox's big pockets? You know, why isn't their lobby team just absolutely storming every single Republican-controlled legislature right now and saying, hey, we're going to push you all the way to the wall, just like our president is. We're going to push. While we've got these votes, we're going to hammer this stuff through. We're going to go to war for our members and supporters in this state. And they could have it all in like 1 or 2 years or 1 or 2 election cycles. Yeah. And then I remember watching an interview with their lobbyist in Pennsylvania a couple of weeks ago, and I was watching this interview, and he said they had 4 or 5 million, or maybe it was 7 or 8 million members in Pennsylvania alone. And I thought to myself, well, that means they're taking in 10, 12, 13 million dollars out of Pennsylvania alone. And yet right now Pennsylvania is in the crucible. And you watch some of the gun groups over there, they're there alone at the State House. They're fighting this stuff by themselves. They don't have NRA support to try to kill off these gun control bills. And it's just really frustrating. And I know I'm on a bender here. I'm gonna wrap it up with this example. You guys were all giving examples. Mike DeWine was the first person in the 2006 election season to get the Brady campaign's endorsement. Okay? He is now our Republican nominee. Back during his time in the Senate, he got an F rating for being the chief Republican author of the reinstitution of the Clinton assault weapons ban.
And you got to work like a dog to get an F.
Yeah, you got to if you're not catching that, we're laying that down right here. If you got to work like crazy to get an F rating. And now that it looks like he might be the guy to win, they slap on his endorsement here in Ohio, and that's not a guarantee by any means. And so the other day when I ran into Mike DeWine, and we've been trying to get a survey out of him because we want to know if he's going to sign Stand Your Ground bill, if we can plop it on his desk. I ran into him at the Trump rally last week or the week before down in Cincinnati, and I asked him, I just asked him straight up, Mike, when are you going to sign our candidate survey? And he's like, oh, I'm pro-gun. I said, yeah, but you won't sign our survey. You used to be very anti-gun. We want to know if you're going to be if you're going to be pro-gun in the future. We want you to sign our survey. He's like, I have an NRA rating. I'm pro-gun. So he wouldn't answer the question about stand your ground law. He wouldn't answer about constitutional carry. He wouldn't answer about red flags. In the debate, he said he was going to support it and sign it into law. And so I just wanted to throw that in there. This whole idea that the endorsement is cheap. It's like toilet paper. It's very true because it's just been used, and it's used against gun owners now. I
just want to say one thing. I mean, we've had early voting down here in Georgia since I think October 15th, so about 10 days. And what they say is maybe a third of voters have already voted. Well, here we are, Georgia gun owners. We have a good-sized organization, but not 360 million. Okay. And we have been scrapping and clawing, and our people have been giving us $30 at a time and spending literally tens of thousands of dollars accurately laying out who this woman Stacey Abrams is. Okay, this is not a joke. And the NRA should know this. And we reach millions of people a week here at Georgia Gun Owners. And today, that credit to them. They said they're spending $725,000, I guess, on social media and some sort of program down here at the NRA. But a third of the voters have already voted.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Day
saying?
late, dollar short.
Exactly. This is the same thing that happens at the Capitol. I saw it on the campus carry bill down here in Georgia, or the crap carry bill. Turd sandwich is what we called it. They showed up on the final day or two. Mike White is the lobbyist name, Mike White. And he's been down here for a long time. He brought in a guy from West Virginia. They go in the speaker's room, and the majority, or in the Senate, I forget exactly who it was. And they go and hide out in there, and they cut their deal, and they leave. And they literally leave. And this is the same crap down here in Georgia that you're talking about, Chris. I don't want to keep going, but I mean, they've got ass tons of money, but we're the ones who are fighting the biggest governor's race in the state of Georgia, and they don't show up till what do we have? 11 days left.
Yeah, in big Republican states like this, they're pulling upwards of $10 to $15 million a year out of these states. Each and every state that we're talking about, Ohio is no exception. And yet, when we needed them there to stop this gun control bill, they weren't there. Just like they haven't been there. But yet their endorsement is getting used against gun owners. And like one of my friends here a little bit ago said, this is hurting the Republican ticket. It is hurting our pro-gun majorities by them allowing, anti-gun schmucks, mutts, like somebody just called him. John Wimmer called him a mutt, by allowing them to top the ticket here in Ohio. Just unbelievable. And if we lose our majorities, or if we lose our governor's race this time around, it's because of stuff like this.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's like 20 GOP seats are on the hook right now in Minnesota.
20?
In 20. So the Dems need 11 seats to flip the Minnesota House and take back control. And a whole host of these people, of these Republicans, were sponsoring gun control. They have NRA ratings. They were sponsoring gun control in 2018 in preparation for the midterms that are coming up here in 12 days. And all of these people spit in the face of gun owners, killed all the pro-gun bills, introduced gun control, and now they're all eating their lunch because the gun control groups are still attacking them. And their little play didn't pan out because gun owners are ticked off, and they should be. Gun owners are not turning out to the polls for them because, well, hey, they got a shiv in the ribs from these people, and now the GOP is probably, we don't know, but they might go down here in Minnesota, and it's their own fault for sticking a knife in gun owners' backs.
That's the story everywhere right now. Look at Scott Walker. I mean, we have folks watching right now on the Wisconsin page. Walker stood there the day after we got constitutional carry past the Senate committee, 3-2. We got it past the committee, and the next day, when they ask him, "Hey, would you sign on to this constitutional carry bill?" He says, "Well, I like the gun laws like they are." which is a hell no. I don't want to deal with that.
Yep.
And in Wisconsin, it's been this way forever. One of the last states to do away with May issue. One of the last states to do away with a waiting period. That was just like 3 years ago on the waiting, only because Scott was going to run for president, had to have some street cred, you might say. Wouldn't touch stand your ground law, won't touch constitutional carry. And now depends on, what happens on election night. But I think 9 out of the last 10 polls shows him down somewhere between 2 to 8% under Tony Evers. And, Tony Evers is an out-and-out socialist, and he hates guns, and he hates gun owners, and he wants a statewide gun registry in the whole 9 yards. There's no one saying that Evers is better, and we're damn sure not saying that the Stacey Abrams in Georgia is better, or Cordray in Ohio is better, or anything else. But the fact remains, these people are in jeopardy in these states like Wisconsin, like Iowa, potentially even, because they've told you guys, they've told us to go screw ourselves. We're not going to touch your constitutional carry bill. We don't want to touch that. They asked Kim Reynolds in the debate, for you folks in Iowa. They asked Kim Reynolds in the debate at Drake University, what was that, 10 days ago. What gun rights bills do you want to see advanced? What expansions do you want to make? Nada. Nothing. And they said, what about gun-free zones, getting rid of those on schools? No, local issue. Okay, what about permit issues? And they were referring to constitutional carry, and she pretty much was just like, no, we have good laws as they are. So they want you, I just get so pissed I can't even breathe. I got to calm down, but they want us
settle down
to bleed for them, but they don't want to do a damn thing for us. Like, what the heck is the deal?
I mean, and don't forget, Assembly Speaker in Wisconsin, Robin Voss, calling for universal background checks. Republican calling for universal background checks, gun registration, red flags. It's all on the table. It's all on the table.
But I think that we're in a good spot here as gun owners. Maybe not